Hey everyone, I'm Clayfact, and today we are going to make a Trash Panda. And we are not going to make an ordinary Trash Panda. No, we are going to make a cookie stealing Trash Panda. But for that we need a cookie jar. And I stole this from Mr. Clayfact's kitchen. I don't think he's going to need it anyway. And that's going to be our cookie jar. But first, we need to get rid of this very strong chili powder. Spicy food has never been my thing anyway. So after smelling it, we just hide the evidence, and Mr. Clayfact will be none the wiser. Why the f did I sniff it? Anyway, let's get started on the sculpture, guys. So after I cleaned the jaw and my nose, I get started on the armature. And I take my time here because I want the Trash Panda to sort of dive in to the cookie jar. So I need to make sure that the armature fits the cookie jar. And this sculpture was a little bit more difficult for me. Because as many of you have guessed, I'm from Denmark. And in my homeland, we don't have any raccoons. So I haven't really seen a raccoon in real life. So let's just say that Pinterest now thinks that I have a raccoon fetish with all the references photos I have had to look at. Now that the armature is sort of done, let's cover this little guy up in some super sculpey. And I do that by rolling some of the clay through my pasta maker Claylia on the thickest setting before I smooth it in, and then I move on to the legs as you see me doing here. I fiddle around for a bit, not quite sure how I want the legs, but little by little I really like how they are looking, and I start working on the feet. Now I want him to dive in to the cookie jar, so the feet has to be in a specific angle for that. That's why I make the bottom half first. So after this little cookie muncher have gotten some feet and some texture, I leave the cooking of the cookies to a dear friend of mine. I wouldn't quite call us dear friends, but let it be. When it comes to chocolate chip cookies, it's quite easy, you see. You separate them before you butter them up with some clay softener. After that, you texture them with a toothbrush gently. And voila, we have cookies. Now all that's left to do is make them chocolate chip cookies by pressing small clay balls into the cookies. And that is how you make chocolate chip cookies the right way. Well, thank you, Claylia Child. Anyway, now that the torso is done and the cookies are baked, we move on to the arms. And while I'm doing that, I would like to take a moment to thank everyone who has supported me, liked, commented and subscribed. It really means the world to me. And encourage all who hasn't done so to do so, because it really means a lot to me. It's my biggest Christmas wish to make this channel become bigger and better, which is why I also would love some constructive criticism, because I want to learn. Now with that out of the way, let's make the cookie stealing hands. And I think it was about here I decided to call this little cookie thief for Casper. Casper the cookie thief. Here you see me shaping Casper's head and give him some eye sockets before I move on to the snout I do a little bit different because I want a little bit more definition. And after I was happy with the face and the snout, I took a sharp pointy thing and cut half of it off. Because I want him to have an open mouth. So I needed to put the jaw on separately, so to speak. And why did I want an open mouth, you ask? Well, to place a cookie, of course. You see, one in each hand just isn't enough for Casper. I could tell. So while I'm giving him some eyes and defining his face some more, let me tell you a bit more about Casper, the cookie muncher. You see, Casper is a greedy little that is always hungry and always looking for food. But he is it in such an endearing way that it's hard to get mad at him. I'm pretty sure he has a conscience. I think before he saw the cookies he was debating in about 5 seconds with himself before he dived in. I mean, he tries to be good. He's trying to be a good boy, but he simply can't help it. One moment he sniffed the cookies, the next moment he's in the cookies. He is simply just a hungry little kleptomaniac. And that's what I think about Baxter and his backstory. Now with the face defined, I'm starting to work on the ears, and I do that by pressing a small clay thingy I shaped on his head before I put it in place with a board stylist. And then it's time for his Christmas hat, because every cookie-stealing, Christmas-loving Trash Panda needs a Christmas hat. So I put a trimmer on the hat before I connect the head to the body and make a neck, so to speak, and blend that in. I'm not that worried if it's not going to be blended in that well, because he's going to have fur and you can hide a lot in fur. And then it was on to the hands. I just love how this sculpture started to come together and how he really looks like he has a sort of scared look in his face, like he's just been caught literally with his hands in the cookie jar. Speaking of, here I just take the last 2 cookies and put them in each of his hands, and I secure it with some bacon bond. And then it was time for the cookie jar's lid. I give it a good scratch before I put on some bacon bond. Now I want a metallic cookie jar top. I just don't want that kind of metallic cookie jar top. So I covered it some cast clay and make it a little knob. And I already like the look way better. Now listen to Crafting Guard, Nerdy Crafter. We are not being perverse here. We are just simply poking him in the butt. But we're doing that to give him a tail. So I think it's okay. After that, all we have to do is bake it. And then paint it. Here I'm trying to dry brush. Now I am horrible at dry brushing, I know it. But I gave it a shot and the lid came out okay. And for the cookies, I think I need a help from my friend. Now, acquaintance would be the proper word, dear. But I will agree, these poor cookies really need help. Look at them, all burned and disgusting. So let's give them a nice cookie color to make them shine before we dry brush them to make them look appetizing. And then it's all about the chocolate. And that is how you make chocolate chip cookies, dears. Please don't try that again. Yeah, okay, I got it, Claylia Child. Anyway, now I'm painting our little Trash Panda in a gray. Before I move on to dry brush him in a little lighter color, simply to get the fur texture to pop a bit more. After that, I paint the hat and the trims. And I think it might be time for a little disclaimer. You see, I'm not very good at painting. And I'm not sure how good I am at sculpting. I just love doing it. So if you learn something from me, it's most likely a happy accident. But even though I hate painting, I love hanging out with you guys. So tell me in the comments, what do you love most, painting or sculpting? Anyway, after that I painted his hands and feet before I made the stripes that the raccoon is known for on his tail. I also go over his hands and feet again with a darker grey to blend it all in. And after that I painted his perfect little bandit mask. And I was just so happy, I will admit. I thought he looked like a person until this point when he finally got the mask on. But that just shows that persistence really is most important when you are making an art project. When his little mask was on and he became the perfect cookie thief, I just cleaned him up a bit around the eyes before I started painting the little platform I wanted him on. Now with him clean and ready and the platform dry, all I had to do was assembling him. And I did that by using some super glue to finally put poor hungry Casper in his place, so to speak. Caught red-handed with his hands in the cookie jar. And I think that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like Casper, the cookie thief. I surely do. And I hope to see you again next time. Just like I hope you will have a Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, or whatever you are celebrating. Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye.